Arthas made us from stone to protect him.
Oops. Forgot I gotta hit load, not campaign. Oh crap, open it, override it. No. Come on, hurry up. No! Okay, whew.
Yes, so!
What? Going guarded, going guarded.
Too many over here!
As quick as I can, alright?
I'm not that quick! Yes, so!
I forgot how do I plus to... Crap, I forgot the controls for a minute.
Soon, or anyone I could do with some help.
Yeah?
Forgot how to play the game. Hold on.
Yes, so! Sounded really soon. I need help over here! How many more of them are there?
Must be some
Yes,
I can't do that yet.
Huh?
Hey!
Just a minute.
Yes.
Understood.
I need some assistance. Just a minute.
What the? Oh, okay.
No sooner does the unknown dwarf fall unconscious to the floor than her control over your comrades disappears. You fetter and gag her until you know more about her sinister powers.
That was, I hope I didn't hurt you, Scholar. It was as if in a dream, but at the same time, it wasn't. I heard her voice in my head, and although I knew better, I only saw orcs attacking me. You were the enemy.
Boindil goes over to the shackled dwarf and kicks her gently with his boot.
This is never a child of the smith, even if she looks like one. Those gifts. By frackers, there is something evil at work.
You kneel in front of the dwarf and press your axe against her throat.
My name is Tungdil. If I remove your gag, will you answer some questions?
The captive nods, and you pull the gag out of her mouth.
Geralda is my name. It would seem I underestimated you.
Your powers, I've never heard of anything like it.
Neither have I. I haven't had them for long. When I try to remember, all I see is black mist, and I taste iron and mud, and there's an elf who... Ugh.
Did the Alfar give you these powers?
When I try to remember, it hurts. Like needles sticking into my head. I am Geralda Bloodstone. I was...
You said something about scum when you attacked us. Has Namora done anything to harm you?
Not her, but her kind. Alfar.
She is a human. She only acts at being an elf in theatre.
In the theatre?
For the first time, Geralda looks at Namora without a hateful expression.
She must die.
Where have you come from and what brings you to Wayne?
I was on my way to the Free Folk. They are said to live in the middle of Girdlegard, without kingdoms or their laws.
The Free Folk? You mean dwarves?
Yes, dwarfs who have left their kingdoms, voluntarily or otherwise. Not everyone has a place in their kingdom.
You instinctively think of your own plight. You are not a secondling, and won't be welcome among the fourthlings since you placed obstacles in their king's path.
Don't believe this nonsense, Scholar. The Free Folk are just a fairy tale that people tell themselves when they don't want to stick to the traditions. Just look what good it's done Geralda.
Geralda prepares to reply, but then she holds back.
Enough talk! She is dangerous, probably crazy. She attacked us, we should put an end to her. It's what you call amnesia, memory loss, a tool often used in stage productions. We don't know what happened to her, and maybe she doesn't either. We can't just kill her.
She's too dangerous just to let go, so we'll take her with us. Remove the fetters.
You nip any objection in the bud and turn to Geralda.
Listen, don't know what has happened to you, but we are dwarves and we shouldn't fight against one another. We could do with your help.
The female dwarf seems just as surprised by your decision as your companions.
Thank you. I would be happy to accompany you. I am Geralda Bloodstone, of the Fourthling Kingdom. I'm sorry that I attacked you. It was a misunderstanding.
You realize that your decision doesn't please everyone. Boindil and Namora seem particularly upset. But they hold back, and you continue on your way, a slightly gloomy mood hanging over the group. You spend the night protected from the wind in a ruin, and are sitting around a campfire as the topic of your new companion's performance on the stage comes up.
Sleight of hand, speed, alchemy, and makeup can have an incredible effect. Namora transformed herself into an elf using the latter.
I also noticed your weapons, Namora. I've never seen such swords before.
Their names are Crescent and Sunbeam. I designed them myself. It took a long time until I found a smith who was able to make them.
She looks like a pointy ear, too. Nature hasn't been kind to her.
For this absent-minded remark, Boindil receives evil looks from Namora and grins from the men.
Perhaps I really am an elf, and will bring you a nightmare in your sleep tonight. Don't be surprised if you wake up screaming.
For a moment, it seems as though she has merged with the darkness, but when you blink, everything is back to normal.
By the gods! Isn't she magnificent in her role?
There is no denying what Rodario says. When you enter the pretty little village with its richly ornate houses and its temple to Palandil at its center, you can see an angry mob some distance away. The villagers are hassling a young woman, insulting her and pushing her to the ground. You push your way through the crowd of people and stand in the way of the villagers.
What's going on here?
A man dressed in richly decorated vestments looks you up and down.
Palandil be with you, dwarf. It is none of your business, but this woman here is a thief. She and her henchmen have emptied the monastery's granary and were willing to abandon us to our fate.
That's a lie. We asked for help and these people turned us away. I came back to ask again.
What evidence do you have against this woman?
We found the granary broken into. Almost a third of our grain and a significant amount of supplies have gone. And all this just one day after she and her people were snooping around here.
That isn't proof. It could simply be coincidence. Anyway, why would a thief come back to the scene of a crime?
The priest eyes you in silence, while some of the villagers make it clear that dwarves should keep their noses out of their business.
Tell us what happened.
The villagers grumble, but the priest gives the woman a chance to defend herself.
My name is Tavia. I was forced to flee Tabayin with my family when the perished land began to spread. My husband, we had to leave him behind.
The horror in the woman's eyes gives you a good idea as to what became of her husband.
No one accepted us in the north. There are too many refugees and everyone is scared. Queen Wei has offered land in Wayan to anyone who will work hard for it. But what should we grow if no one will sell us grain? We offered a fair price, but Father Malin...
She darts a scathing gaze at the priest.
He wanted double the amount.
The priest glances briefly at the angry villagers. Then he replies in a firm voice.
It was a hard winter, and with the increasing frequency of orc attacks, we must think of ourselves first and foremost. Even we cannot help everyone.
The bystanders mutter in agreement.
The accusations are serious, so let's get to the bottom of the matter to be completely sure.
We have no doubt that she did it.
The priest looks at the villagers standing around him, the lust for blood written in their faces.
On the other hand, before we do something we can't undo...
Dissatisfied murmuring grows, which the priest debates with mollifying gestures.
Search for your evidence. You there, lock this woman up in the guardhouse in the meantime.
The woman is taken into a squat building made of rough blocks of stone. The crowd slowly disbands. The priest is lost in thoughts, standing in front of the temple, as if he couldn't decide whether to go in or not.
I was wondering, what was here first, the temple or the village?
Ah, a keen eye. The temple is indeed much too big for such a small village. It was built on the foundations of an old stronghold when salt was found nearby. The village has grown over the years in the shadow of the temple. Good people live here, honest and pious children of Pilandiel.
He glances at the place where the woman was surrounded.
Why can't we just be left in peace?
Supposing Tavia really did steal the grain and supplies, but only to save her family, would you turn a blind eye?
Pilandiel teaches generosity, but that too must have its boundaries. We cannot help everyone. At some point there won't be enough for us.
So, if you had sold the grain, the people of Seaton would have starved?
Maybe not. Not yet. But if we always give everything we have away...
No one is saying always, and no one is saying everything.
The priest shrugs his shoulders apologetically. He doesn't wish to spoil things with his flock. You nod goodbye, and the priest returns the gesture. You enter the village's large storehouse. The ground floor of the two-story building is full of turnips, with large barrels and clay pots on the floor and on high shelves. Several villagers are carrying out stock-taking. They're being supervised by a weedy man who observes them with a grim expression and writes things on a wax tablet every now and then. Work is in full swing. The man with the wax tablet grumbles now and then in agreement when one of the peasants shouts out a number to him. It shouldn't take too much longer until they finish the inventory. There are sacks piled up on top of one another on the first floor. They are most likely filled with different kinds of grain and, judging by the omnipresent white dust, flour. You look around for a portable source of light.
Can anyone see a candle or a torch? I need a light.
I wouldn't recommend that.
The Magister Technicus has followed you into the storehouse.
One spark could ignite the flower dust. We sometimes use the effect when we want to create huge balls of fire on the stage.
I think we could do without huge balls of fire in here.
You walk towards the only area in the storeroom where you can see the floorboards. You hesitate as your boots slip on the floor, as if you're walking on mud.
Tongue deal.
The Magister Technicus carefully observes the roof beams above the empty corner. He grabs at a beam and crumbles something between his fingers. You can't make out what it is, so you copy him and feel damp, rotten wood. It's very easy to pull away small pieces.
What are you doing here?
The man with the wax tablet is standing on the stairs. He sounds half angry, half shocked.
No one is allowed in here.
The rain has gotten here. The roof and the floor are damp.
Those savages! It wasn't enough that they steal from us, they had to damage the roof too! That was probably where they got in.
The wood didn't start to rot yesterday, good man.
The steward's face turns bright red.
And you are the experts on such things, are you?
Assuming the roof here has been leaky for a long time, what would have happened to the grain in the sacks directly underneath? Wouldn't it have turned rotten?
The man wets his lips. His gaze darts around the room.
The roof was fine. I'll have it repaired. And now, get out of here!
The steward angrily blocks off all further attempts at talking to him, and even when you threaten him with Father Malin, it doesn't have the desired effect. The father trusts in him, he says, and he's always been a devout follower. The heavy door of the storehouse closes behind you, and you hear a bolt sliding into place from the inside. You enter the guardhouse, and before the guards know, Boindeel and Boendal have caught them up in a friendly conversation. Shielded from the view of the guards, you exchange a few words with the suspect without being disturbed.
Where have you taken the grain and supplies?
I don't know anything about grain or supplies. Apart from the fact that we could do with both, I'm telling you, I am innocent.
Why did you come back to the village?
I wanted to negotiate with Father Malin for the grain. What else could I do? No sooner had I arrived than they surrounded me and accused me of robbery.
We won't let anyone do anything to you, but if we are going to help you, you will have to tell us the truth.
The woman looks you in the face, then her head sinks, and when she looks back up, she has tears in her eyes.
Please, I just want to go back to my family. I don't know what happened.
Tongue deal.
You feel sympathy towards the woman. You raise your hand to silence Rodario and nod to the woman to continue talking.
We asked for grain and were full of hope when we saw the well-filled granary. But we hadn't reckoned on the malice of the people here.
A slow, ironic clap sounds from behind you. Confused, you turn around to face Rodario.
Bravo, my dear, with tears and everything. Tough luck that a master of the art of acting is present. None of what she said corresponds with the truth, Tungdil. She is lying and trying to deceive us. Not completely talentless for an amateur.
You expect the woman to deny everything, but when she overcomes her amazement, she spits in the actor's face.
And what if I am? I would do it all again. The people here have more than they need and my people are starving. Is that fair?
Spit it out. Where are the spoils and your people?
I'd rather die than tell you that.
The woman looks at you determinedly, and neither of you blink.
Why did you come back here after stealing the grain and supplies?
We didn't steal them. We paid for them. A reasonable price, just not to Father Malin.
You had help.
He promised us 3 dozen sacks of grain. When we opened the sacks in our hideout, we realised that most of the grain was rotten. He thought he'd get away with it.
The woman looks around wearily.
And by the looks of things, he has.
Morris the steward offered you the grain, didn't he?
What does that matter? I've no proof it was him. And even if I did, if I admit that we have the stuff, I'll be hanging from a tree by this evening and my children will starve. I beg you, let me go. We bought the grain and the supplies. Perhaps he wasn't allowed to sell it to us. But we paid. And with a little seed we can sow, at least some of us have a chance of surviving the year.
How can I trust you? You lied.
Who wouldn't do everything to offer their children a future? Lying is the very least.
You've stolen, no matter how you put it. But perhaps Father Malin will show clemency if you return the grain.
Clemency for me and a death sentence for my family. Never.
Disenchanted by the course the discussion has taken, you shake your head and leave the guardhouse. The priest is lost in thoughts.
The roof of the granary is leaky. We saw some rotten wooden planks.
Again? Morris only had the roof repaired last summer.
Did he? If he didn't, some of the grain would have got damp and rotten.
Out of the question. Morris would have reported that. He checks the grain once a month and there were no complaints.
The priest has absolutely no doubt in what he is saying, often a sign that someone hasn't thought things over. You nod goodbye, and the priest returns the... The priest is... You nod... The group isn't overly friendly towards Geralda, and this evening she's sitting once again apart from the others. You ask yourself what you can do to break the ice when you see that she has a file in her hand. The phial is wrapped around with silver wire and has a snap lock. The liquid in it is black. Giralda opens the lid and takes a big swig. As she puts down the bottle, a smile flits across her face, followed by a short expression of deep satisfaction. It is the first time that you have seen a positive emotion on the face of the somber dwarf.
Is that medicine?
No, it's... I don't know either. If I don't drink it, I have a longing for it. It gets stronger and stronger until I can't stand it anymore. When I drink it, the longing disappears, and I feel rested and strong.
And when the phial's empty?
I don't know. I don't know where I got the drink from, let alone what it is. But if I don't drink it, frackers give me strength. I think I would go crazy or die.
Giralda plays with the phial, lost in her thoughts, as if she were trying to remember where she saw it for the first time. When you enter the strongly fortified mountain village, you see a large group of miners standing around a shaft in heated discussion.
I really saw them, I swear!
A young man in mining clothes defiantly stares at an older man who is a good head taller than him.
Even if you did, smashing the lift hoist, it would have been better to have not sent the cage down again until we cleared this thing up.
Is there a problem?
The older man, perhaps a foreman, is so angry that he hardly seems to have realized that he's talking to a dwarf.
Mika here says that he saw orcs in the mine, and he smashed the lift hoist to bits. The cage has crashed to the bottom of the shaft. How are we supposed to work now?
Can we help you somehow?
Help? Well, we'll have to repair the hoist, and we need a new cage.
The foreman turns to a man next to him for answers. He's just as muscular, with dirty, calloused hands and an angular face.
It will take at least 2 weeks, but we don't need any help, unless you can speed up time.
I'll need 1 day. 2 at the most, if there are problems.
The foreman looks aghast at the Technicus, unsure whether he's joking or not.
1 day? Have you got any idea how...
Fergus is the most talented Magister Technicus in Girdlegard. And anyway, what have you got to lose? Let him help.
Well, as long as he doesn't get in my way...
The worker shrugs his shoulders.
Why not?
Good. Then we'll help you. But we would like provisions for it. 30 rations.
Sure. If you pull it off, the provisions are yours. You really trust in your skills, don't you? Mika, give him a hand.
Fergus immediately gets to work, examining the hoist. After a few moments, he sends Mika off with a list of tools and spare parts, and explains to you how to build the cage, while he takes care of the hoist's rustic mechanism. After half a day, the cage is operational again, but Fergus is still busy with the hoist. You just hear him muttering.
So far, there is no automatic brake in case the ropes snap, but it shouldn't be too hard to fit one.
Fergus decides to fit the automatic brake, but it takes more time than expected. Building the hoist from scratch would have been simple, but the upgrade turns out to be complicated. In the end, it takes 2 days until the lift is operational again. After the work is done...
You kept your part of the deal, we'll keep ours. Take the provisions for your journey.
You travel down into the mine in the repaired lift. Mika shows you the place where he saw the orcs, and you follow the winding gallery. After 1,000 paces, you stopped counting, and only after several hours do you reach an exit. There's a stench of tallow in the air. The tunnel leads directly into a huge orc camp, which blocks the pass into Snowdale Valley. If you attacked from here, you'd have the element of surprise on your side.
I could go and take a look and perhaps improve our chances for an attack.
You remember how the actor had transformed himself into Lot Yonin and Nudin in Mithridania. You certainly wouldn't bet against him being able to walk through the orc camp unnoticed.
I'll come with you. If I stay in the shadows, they won't see me.
The actor nods gratefully.
I'll come too. I also know how to keep myself hidden.
Nomura wants to object, but you are quicker.
Thank you, Geralda. 2 more eyes and ears would be helpful on such a mission.
Hope I can go back.
As on the previous evening, Bavragor sits apart from the others. But tonight, he waves you over.
Smeralda, my sister. You want to know what happened, right?
You nod and sit down.
She followed Boindle into battle. We tried to talk her out of it, but she was as unyielding as a mountain. Then came the day when the High Pass was attacked.
Bavragor drinks from his liquor.
He killed her. Blinded by the frenzy of battle, he thought she was one of the enemy. I could never forgive him. He killed my sister. Could you?
You inevitably remember the loss of Lot Yonan, Frala, and her children. You remain sitting in silence, each of you deep in thought. Boendal approaches, having either heard you or guessing what you are talking about.
His fierce life forge is a curse. He thought the orcs had robbed him of his love, and the ire came over him. Sometimes he calls her name in his dreams. Oh, he'd never admit it, but he suffers just like Bavragor. He too loved her.
The stonemason doesn't react, so you and Boendal go back to the others by the fire. A 2-story tavern sits on the corner of a crossroads. The snow around the building has been cleared away, and a warm light is coming from inside. The sign above the door reads, Minstrel Castle.
Minstrel Castle? That sounds promising.
The old building has nothing in common with a castle. It seems rather nondescript. A simple tavern for simple people.
Finally! Time for ale! My throat is completely parched.
As much as I hate agreeing with you, I too can hardly wait.
You enter the tavern with Bavragor and Boindil in front. On first impression, the interior is as inconspicuous as the outside. But when you take a closer look, you spot a couple of paintings of minstrels in front of a castle, a small stage that, judging by the dust, is only very rarely used, and a lute hanging on the wall behind the bar. There are not very many guests on the ground floor, perhaps a dozen, and most of them belong to a group of mercenaries who have retreated into the far corner. You sit at a table, and after a while you are brought the ale that Boindil has ordered. You go to the bar where the landlady is working and sit on a stool. The landlady, a stout, middle-aged woman with long hair tied in a ponytail, looks up briefly but says nothing.
Say, why is the tavern called Minstrel Castle? It doesn't look much like a castle.
Oh, you don't know the legend, dwarf.
One of the guests next to you at the bar takes up your question.
There was a castle here once. No one knows its name anymore, so everyone just calls it Minstrel Castle. Once upon a time, a king lived in that castle. He had many subjects and an enchanting queen. But one day a young minstrel came along and sang of wonderful far-off lands, and the subjects began to complain about their own lives. So the king sent for the singer to hear for himself. He came and sang a wonderful love song, and the king began to be scared. He thought that the minstrel wanted to steal away his queen. Without flinching, he drew his sword and struck the boy down. His father heard of this. He was himself a singer, and so he went to the king and played a terrible song, a curse. The king was to vanish in silence, and no one was to remember his name.
And that's what happened. No one remembers the name of the king or his castle. Make of it what you will. The story's certainly well known enough in the area to give Arin its name.
You nod at the landlady as you slip off the bar stool, and she nods back.
Good day, gentlemen.
Get lost, Groundling.
Be quiet! The good dwarf may want to make use of our services, if you stop insulting him.
The mercenary immediately becomes sheepish and concentrates on his tankard of beer.
My name is Gurnham, the leader of this troop.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Gurnham. I am Tungdil Goldhand. I actually do wish to inquire after your services, against an orc camp in the west.
The leader of the mercenaries looks at you, trying to size you up.
You and your companions look as though you know how to handle your weapons. Must be a damn big orc camp.
Otherwise, we wouldn't ask for your help. So, are you in?
Why not? 500 gold coins for me and 9 of my men, in advance.
You go back to the mercenaries. They look up briefly before turning back to their drinks.
So, have you made your decision, dwarf?
You send Namora to try and haggle down the price of the mercenaries.
If it will help against the orcs. Hey guys, we need your help with a couple of orcs. Name your price.
The men look up, and as they see who is standing in front of them, their faces brighten.
We wouldn't take money from someone like you, sweetheart. I'm sure you can show your appreciation in other ways.
Namora says nothing. She stares into the man's eyes, and he falls silent. He seems to shrink and to have lost the capacity to talk. Finally, Namora looks away and turns to go.
All right then, I'll find someone else.
Wait, stay here, darling.
The young mercenary jumps up and tries to hold Namora back by the arm, but she sidesteps quickly and he grasps at thin air. He trips over Namora's foot, which just happens to be in the right place, and clatters to the floor.
Oh, come on, boys. Don't you know how to treat a lady?
The leader of the mercenaries smiles at Namora, revealing several missing teeth.
For such a beautiful woman like you, we'll make a very special price. For 250 gold pieces, we'll demonstrate what we're capable of.
Here is your payment. 250 gold coins.
You place a pouch containing the counted coins on the table in front of Gurnham.
We will seize the orc camp with you, and then perhaps celebrate a bit?
He grins over at Namora, who manages with some effort to avoid killing the mercenary. You go to the bar where the landlady... You nod at the landlady. Bavragor and Boindil, who are absorbed in a drinking competition, have to be practically dragged out of the tavern. But in the end, you are able to continue your journey.
The music was kind of well, not deafening, but like it's playing the same thing over and over again, and it's louder than the audio. Let's see.
You discover some ancient ruins and an orc camp in a gorge. A small group of Bognalim is moving between tents, piles of rubbish and cages. In one of the cages, you think you can make out some movement.
Charge!
They're coming out the holes.
You there! My bag! Over there! Quick! You'll have to smoke them out!
Hold on, I'm reading the Discord. I didn't get a chance to read it. Okay. Okay, let's see. Where? Okay, where's the... You mean I didn't buy the piece? Wow. Oh, this is retarded.
And again.
Swift and quiet.
Kill. I didn't hit you very hard. Another one bites the dust. Was I?
Grenades!
Too
Throw them into the
easy.
holes. That'll just stop the little beasts.
I didn't hit you very hard!
Vile creature!
Pow! Another one bites the dust!
Don't take it personally.
Kill!
I didn't hit you very hard!
What?
What's up?
Vile creature!
Too easy!
And again!
Pow! Another one bites the dust!
Vile creature!
I didn't hit you very hard!
And again! Huh? Killed!
Looking for enemies? They're all here.
And again!
Too easy!
Killed!
I didn't hit
Oh,
you
there's
very
another one.
hard!
Yes?
Pow! Another one bites the dust! I didn't hit you very hard!
Take it personally.
Boindale! What you do with your axes over here? Pow! Another one bites the dust! I didn't hit you very hard! Pow! Another one bites the dust! I
Yeah, I
didn't hit you
noticed that.
very hard!
Stop saying the thing over and over again.
Too easy!
Vile creature! Killed!
Pow! Another one bites the
Swift
dust!
and quiet.
Too easy!
Vile creature!
Pow! Another one bites the dust!
And again!
What?
Huh?
Vile creature!
Don't rush me! Pow! Another one bites the dust!
Huh?
Hmm?
Too easy! Pow! Another one bites the dust!
Good night.
Very impressive, I must say. Let me out, my friends.
I'm gonna press the button. No, there it goes. Looking at her weapons, interesting.
Oh, thank you. Have you seen Helga? Helga? Helga! Where are you?
Hello? I am Tungdil Goldhand. These are my companions, Boindil, Boendal, Rodario, Fergus and Namora, Bavragor and Goimgar.
Have you seen Helga?
No, we haven't. If you don't mind me asking, what is your name?
Call me Ensign and drop the pleasantries.
If I may, who is this Helga?
Helga? Where?
I don't know. I just wanted to know.
Helga is my wife. Didn't I mention that? We came here together, but then the orcs came and she was gone. Do you think she might have gone home? Helga!
You have a dark notion of what might have happened to Helga, but as you have no proof, you'd rather say nothing.
If you see her, you'll let me know, right?
I wanted to thank you. Your grenades really helped us.
Grenades? Oh, yeah, no problem. I used them to break up boulders, but I ended up attracting these pests. Who was to know there are Bognolum around here? And as if that weren't bad enough, along came the orcs and took me ox skull. Gosh! And Helga, where is Helga?
What brings you to these parts, Ensign? It's not exactly the nicest of places.
Aren't you here for the festival? The unbelievable Wackenstein Festival. My wife and I desperately wanted to see it for ourselves. The Blind Guardian, the statue over there, is the key. He calls people from far and wide to the festival. I finally found some information in the archives of Virunciensis as to how the Guardian is activated.
Do you know anything about a secret passage through the mountains?
Secret passage? No, can't say I do. But they say that when the Blind Guardian awakens, then people will come to the festival from all corners of the world. Maybe they'll come from the mountains too.
So what have you found out about the festival, Ensign?
You see that statue? That's the Blind Guardian. You could call him the patron saint of Wackenstein. They say that when the festival begins, then the revellers heed his call from all corners of the earth. According to my research, we need 3 things to start the festival. A burning ox skull, the fire-eater bell, and vervain. I actually had it all, but, well, then the orcs came.
It should be easy to find an ox's skull. All we have to do is find a butcher.
Oh, it can't just be any old ox skull. It needs special decorations and engravings. Took me weeks to prepare that skull. Then the orcs came and took it. Must have thought it had some value.
So, we've got to hunt down an army of orcs. Boindil will like that. What do we do with the skull when we've got it?
Oh, well, that's simple. The ox skull must be set on fire.
You're not sure what kind of celebration needs a burning ox skull, but the mission doesn't sound too difficult.
Where will we find the fire-eater bell, and what kind of a name is that anyway?
Virunciensis. I tracked you down to a collector who lives outside the city in an estate on the south wall. According to the legend, the bell was mounted in a black tower. The tower caught fire. The bell fell down and smothered the source of the fire. Now, I'm sure you can work out the rest. The ringing of the bell opens the way for the blazing fire in our souls. At least that's what is written.
Virunciensis. So what are we waiting for? We'll visit the collector and...
It would be best if you went without me. I have some things to prepare here.
Vervain, doesn't that grow in Ergon? It's a hell of a long way from here.
Ha! Don't worry. I have a bag, just a minute. It's gone.
You lost it?
Well, lost. I mean, briefly mislaid, perhaps. It must be here somewhere.
To begin the festival, we need the ox skull, the fire eater bell, and the vervain, right?
Exactly. Then we need to set the skull on fire, ring the bell, and burn the herbs. And then it happens.
You're quite sure you're wasting your time? A huge festival in the middle of nowhere? But you pin your hopes on there being a spark of truth in every story, and that somehow a path will open up through the mountains when you carry out the old ritual.
See you later, Henson.
Let me know if you see Helga.
If I've understood correctly, the ox skull is to be burned on this stack of wood. Henson said the herbs should be burned in a bowl. This must be the bowl he meant. Now we just need the herbs. A bracket on which you can hang something. Must be for the bell that Henson mentioned. Ah, that must be Henson's bag of herbs. Henson,
have you found Helga?
To begin,
eggs.
You're quite.
See you later.
Okay, so I need them all, so I don't give them one at a time. Okay. Yeah.
Your path leads you once again to the Minstrel Castle Tavern. You enter the tavern again. You go to the bar where the... You nod at the... Bavragor...
Can I equip the things, or do I have to wait till I'm in combat? Crap, I don't know. Oh, there we go.
You arrive at an empty jetty on Lake Anteria. You can see several fishing boats on the lake, and there's a small village on the other shore.
Ah, Pulbrook. What an idyllic little place. And then there's the miller's daughter.
You turn around and continue on your journey. The size of the fields and the farmsteads grow as you get closer to Varensiensis, the old border city in the north. The old city wall is much too small for the size of today's settlement. Everywhere little cottages, and even the odd magnificent estate, extend beyond the wall.
The house that Henson was talking about must be somewhere on the south wall. We need the bell if we're going to open the path through the mountains.
You follow the street to an estate on the south wall, which is surrounded by a fence. The paved path to the door is lined with hydrangea. You knock on the door gently, and after a while it is opened by a chubby man in expensive clothes. The man gives you a fleeting glance.
We don't want to buy anything.
He intends to close the door again without waiting for your answer.
Wait! I've been told you have a rare bell? Fire Eater.
The man pauses.
Fire Eater? How?
Before he can finish what he's saying, a red-haired woman pushes past him. She is also wearing expensive clothes and is heavily made up. After she gives him a stern look, the man disappears into the house. She scrutinizes you with greenish-blue eyes.
How do you know about that, Shorty?
A man called Henson.
Henson? The vagabond that broke into our house? Now he's sending groundlings to assassinate us and steal our belongings. What did he tell you? That we have gold, jewels?
No. Henson is our adversary. We want to snatch the bell away from under his nose.
The woman's eyes pierce through you. You manage with great effort to resist her gaze.
I'd like to get that ugly thing out of the house. All right, then. I'll sell you the bell for 500 gold pieces.
$500 gold coins. All right, then.
The woman takes the pouch of gold from you with a broad grin and disappears through the door, which slams shut with a loud bang.
Hello?
Have you been duped? It dawns on you that you haven't yet seen the bell. The door opens again. The man of the house pushes out a wheelbarrow containing a large object inside a sack.
May Fire Eater bring you great pleasure.
The man dumps the bell on the floor with a muffled bong. He seems anything but happy that his wife has sold the bell. In the middle of the path in front of you, you see an upended wagon, but neither draft animals nor owner are in sight. You approach carefully, but still can't make anything out from close up, apart from a few arrows sticking into the side of the wagon.
Perhaps we should.
Before you can finish what you're saying, the screams of a woman come from the nearby woods. Namora disappears into the forest and returns after a short while.
A woman and 2 men are in a small clearing and 5 archers in the forest. I'm sure you can work out what that means.
Namora, keep your eyes on the archers. Everyone else, prepare yourselves for a fight.
Without any particular urgency, you approach the thieves. In the clearing, the woman is still pretending she's being threatened by the 2 men.
Enough of the acting. We know what's going on. The 5 archers can come out now too if they want.
The men in front of you are clearly confused.
Wait a minute. Give us your provisions and gold and,
Oh, don't bother.
The woman has stood up and stands in front of the men.
We'll just take what we need. Grab 'em!
As she draws her sword, the two men charge and several arrows come flying out of the forest. A number of the arrows reach their target, and not all of them bounce off your armor. The quicker of the two men in the clearing has, in the meantime, almost reached you, and seems to be weighing up his options. But before he can decide, Boindil charges towards him. Boindil's axes gouge into the man's shoulders, and he wrenches him from his feet with the force of the attack. The other man and the woman stare at you in shock, turn around and run away from you and into the forest. The arrow fire also stops abruptly.
They're running away!
Namora follows the thieves, while you wait in the clearing. As evening approaches, a figure appears next to you from out of the darkness.
Namora!
Fergus jumps up, and moments later has embraced her tightly.
Were you able to find out anything?
They didn't detect me and led me straight to their hideout. I can show you. It's a cave some miles from the path. Almost 4 dozen people, men, women and children.
You nod. You have tracked down the thieves' hideout. You can make out a cave in the bank of a dried-out riverbed, with several small fires burning in it. You don't see any guards, so you approach carefully. Men and women jump as they notice you. There is terror written in their emaciated faces. When a little girl screams and runs away from you, the whole camp is alerted, and a group of men and women step out of the cave.
Who are you?
The man resembles Tavia. His face, too, tells of a struggle between defiant determination and fatigue and resignation.
I am Gerald, Tavia's brother. I led these people here from Tabayin.
You look around you. You guess there are about 10 families, less than 50 people. Half of them are children and youths.
Your people had no chance of throwing us off. As soon as Namora was on their heels, they had already lost.
What about Tavia? Where is she?
Tavia was caught and is locked up in Seaton.
She can be glad they didn't just hang her from the nearest tree. I did warn her.
Gerald tries but fails to completely hide his worry. Tabayin is a fertile country in the north, but much more importantly these days, it borders the Perish land to the east.
How are things in Tabayin?
Gerald's expression changes. It's as if he's looking through you.
The Perish land is raging. It poisons the spirit, and those who become possessed by it.
Gerald looks at his hands, which he involuntarily forms into claws.
They no longer recognize you. Brothers, mothers, children. My brother-in-law. I had to...
With visible effort, he wrenches himself free of his terrible memories.
We can only hope that the Magi manage to build a new barrier soon.
You cannot bring yourself to quash the last hope he has.
Tavia went to Seaton on her own initiative.
Our gold was gone and our supplies were dwindling, despite being on half rations. I said we should just take what we need if no one is going to help us, but my sister wouldn't have anything to do with it. She took the wedding jewelry from our village, the most valuable thing we had with us, and sold it without my knowing. She then took this money and went to Seaton with several men. I was completely beside myself when I heard about it, but then they came back with food and grain, and I thought they had really done it.
He laughs cheerlessly and shakes his head.
For a few minutes we thought we were saved.
What's wrong with the grain from Seaton?
We thought we finally had a change of luck for the better. We were praying for a new start, but then we discovered that most of the grain was rotten and unusable. They'd been ripped off by the bloody steward. We all got together and discussed what was to be done. The majority was in favour of going to Seaton and taking what was due, at any price. The next morning, Tavia disappeared. It was clear to me that she had returned to Seaton. We were going to give her a couple of days, and in the meantime, we prepared for our attack. We needed weapons, and we needed a plan.
The supplies and the grain, where are they?
Gerald glances at your companions.
The grain is mainly useless. There's only 4 or 5 usable sacks. We shared out the supplies, and that'll keep us going for the next few weeks.
If you return the grain, Father Malin may temper justice with mercy.
Mercy?
Gerald spits at the floor.
Let my people starve so that the people in Seaton can live in affluence for another year? No, I won't let my family die. The grain and the supplies stay here.
Gerald braces himself, placing his right hand on his axe.
We should appease the people of Seaton. Give them back half their grain.
You raise your hand to nip Gerald's objection in the bud.
I am, of course, talking about the rotten grain. You keep the good grain, we will receive at least part of our reward, and Morris will be forced to explain how his excellent grain could turn rotten so quickly.
Boindale stares at you. Then a grin slowly spreads across his face.
Ha! That's our scholar!
You see tired but happy faces all around you. The people breathe a collective sigh of relief.
We'll take half of the grain back in secret. Know this, good dwarf. Whenever you need help, we will stand by your side. We don't have much to offer you, but we can muster together a few strong arms for battle, and we have some outstanding archers.
You nod, and are happy to have made some new friends.
We wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, but we need your help to destroy an orc stronghold.
Gerald nods.
We're in your debt. We'll send our 5 best archers.
So long, my friend.
Your path leads you to a small fishing village on the banks of Lake Ontario. The villagers are busy and don't pay you much attention, apart from a fisherman on a boat who nods at you before returning to his nets. You can just about make out a jetty on the other side of the lake.
Excuse me, my name is Tungdil. Can you ferry us across to the other side?
The fisherman looks across the lake to the jetty on the other side, before turning back to you.
Oh, you're polite. I like that. Samuel is my name. I'll ferry you across for 10 provisions or 20 gold, whichever you prefer.
You give Samuel the gold, and after a long discussion with the dwarves in the group, you follow him onto the boat. The dwarves literally leap out of the boat as soon as you reach dry land.
We could have died! I hope it was worthwhile, scholar!
Your path leads you once again. You leave the minstrel castle behind you and continue on your way.
Actually, wait a minute.
You enter Seaton and take a look round. The priest is lost in thoughts.
We have found the thieves' hideout.
Really? That's welcome news.
With an encouraging nod, the priest of Palandial prompts you to continue.
We spoke to the people there. It was very revealing.
And?
The priest gives you the same look he otherwise uses to reprimand the villagers' minor sins.
They say they paid Morris to sell supplies and grain to them.
The priest wants to object.
He ripped them off. That would be an explanation as to why Tavia came back this morning, don't you think?
The cogs are turning inside the priest's head. His expression reveals that he doesn't like his own conclusions.
And what about the grain and the supplies?
The refugees must have been very hungry. They'd already eaten the supplies by the time we arrived at the camp. We were able to secure most of the sacks of grain. We'll take them to the storehouse.
The priest eyes you in silence, and you look back without batting an eyelid.
Very well. You have earned this, Mr. Dwarf.
The priest brings out a pouch. He thinks for a moment, and then pulls another smaller pouch from his robes and gives it you.
It is time that my congregation concentrates once more on the essentials in life, togetherness, and the compassion of the goddess.
He leaves you standing there without another word. Your path leads you once again to the Minstrel Castle Tavern. The warm, familial glimmer from inside is, as ever, inviting. You enter the tavern again. You go to the... You know, Bavragor... The old ruins of Wackenstein appear before you.
Oh wait, I don't have the. I have no reason to come here. I don't have the ox skull.
The Orc camp is still very imposing, with its hosts of orcs and robust fortifications. An attack will be difficult, but Namora, Giralda and Rodario are prepared to infiltrate the camp and weaken it. The mercenaries are waiting not far off, and are, as arranged, ready to attack. Gerald's archers are waiting for the attack a short way off the path. They concentrate on checking their weapons and are waiting for your orders. You enter the Orc camp with your companions. You have a long way ahead of you.
Oh, I was reading the comments. I actually own Divinity 1 and 2. I might actually, you know, speaking of this, I might actually think about installing 2. I got it. I just got to install it and let you, you know, see it. Okay, after this battle, I could probably, if you want me to take a break from this, and then if you want me to show you Divinity. Hold on a second. I'm actually trying to look for it. Let's see. Where are you? I think I know where it's at. It's over here. Let's see. Oh, there it is. I hope I have enough memory to install it. Yeah, I heard 2 is better than 1. I played a little bit of 2, but I was like, I mean, I played a little bit of 1. Well, actually, I own 1 and 2, but I heard 2 was a little bit better. But you don't need to play the first one to know about the second one. So let me see if it'll install. Oh, I don't have enough memory. It prompted I didn't have enough memory, so I gotta go and hold on a second. I'm gonna try to see what I can delete. Okay, I'll go ahead and delete this. I'll delete a couple games. Some I know that I won't be playing. This one and probably this one. You already know what games I wanted to delete, so... Excuse me, dang, gotta... Maybe that might be enough. Let's see. Yeah, Divinity, a lot of people are comparing it to Divinity because it's made by the same company. The same people that made Divinity 1, 2 is making Baldur's Gate 3. I was reading your comments on Discord while I was trying to get this installed. Is it installed? Let's see. Let's see if I got enough memory. Yes, I got enough memory now. Let's see. How long will it take? Ooh. If I wasn't playing a game, it would actually be done a lot quicker. I guess I'll go ahead and finish this mission, and then I'll go ahead and, if you want me to show you Divinity a little bit. I don't want to use. Look at me. Okay. Reach the past with all the humans, with all the heroes. Let's go. Oh, that's why I gotta hold this button. Let's go. Charge.
What is it? Kill? And again. Oink, oink, little piggies! I didn't hit you very hard. Kill. Who's next? And again.
Let's go! Charge!
Yes? And what now?
Huh?
What's up? Huh? Kill! Pow! Another one bites the dust! I'll be ready soon! Huh? Who's next? Too easy!
Yes? Pow! Another one bites the dust. Looking for enemies? They're all here.
They're hitting me pretty hard!
Too many over here.
I need help over here! Quickly!
Crap, I need to get out of here.
Creature. And again. Huh? And what now?
Get up!
I am too easy.
Give me a hand!
I just need
Ah. That's alright, I'm gonna go ahead and quit and do Divinity.